Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news. And the Xbox Series X is finally here. The next generation of gaming has officially begun, which means the Xbox One, technically, is now a last generation console. That's almost hard to believe, but I will say this. I think Xbox has a very bright future ahead of it. I know the Xbox One had its issues, especially early on, but they seem to have fixed a lot of those issues, and I think the Xbox Series is going to be a fantastic console, and I hope everybody is enjoying their brand new platform today. Unfortunately though, not everybody is getting their brand new console on launch day like they previously believed. Yes, it looks like some people got a surprise delay today, and fans are understandably very upset about this, so we're going to talk about that here in just a bit. Also, PlayStation may have found a way to bring over PlayStation 3 games to modern platforms, and they also toyed around with the idea of making games more than $70, so stick around for that as well. First though, let's go over some of the quick news, starting off with Persona 4. Yeah, so apparently, Sega was a bit surprised when they realized how successful Persona 4 Golden was on the PC. We actually heard about that earlier this year, but once again they're echoing that sentiment, and their exact words is that Persona 4 Golden sold beyond their expectations. Now they did mention that they thought it had potential, but once again it sounds like the amount of success that Persona 4 had on Steam was surprising to them. Back in August, they said something very similar, and how it sold significantly more than what they thought it was going to. So with that said, they are looking to bring over more Atlus games to various platforms. They didn't just say PC either, but the keywords here are various platforms. This means that there's a very good chance that we see games like the Persona franchise, or really any other Atlus game, come over to the Nintendo Switch or even the Xbox. It is possible that this could happen, and honestly, I have to question Sega here. This is something that fans have been wanting for a very long time, and I thought it was pretty obvious that these games could sell outside of just PlayStation. Especially Persona, because those games have increased in popularity dramatically over the last decade. I mean, Persona 4 even sold well on the Vita, and that's saying a lot. So it's strange to me that Sega didn't figure this out sooner, but I guess late is better than never. Now I'm just kind of hoping that the entire Persona franchise comes to all platforms, and for that matter, let's make Persona 6 a multi-platform game. Just kind of throwing that out there. I mean, you would think that this would be an obvious decision, but I mean, this is Sega and Atlus, so you never really know. Also, one big topic for next generation consoles has been their solid-state drives, whether that be their speed or with their capacity. Well, we're already seeing some games take up a lot of space on these consoles. Call of Duty Cold War, as an example, looks to take up about 130 gigabytes, and that's significant. The Xbox Series S and PlayStation 5 in specific don't exactly have the most space in the world. The PlayStation 5 has 667 gigabytes for games, and the Series S has just 364 gigabytes. So that puts a pretty large dent into how many games you can store at a time. Well, it looks like NBA 2K21 is the next big game coming to these platforms, as it requires a minimum of 150 gigabytes. That is insane, though honestly, I'm not overly surprised by this. If there is one launch game that I look at and think it looks truly next generation, that would be NBA 2K21. It looks really good and gives you that sense of Uncanny Valley. It almost looks too realistic in some situations, but again, I think it kind of shows you the power of these consoles early on, and that will take up more resources. Either way, next generation games may end up taking up a lot more space, especially when you see them primarily focus on next generation. I mean, Call of Duty and 2K21 pretty much takes up all of your space on the Xbox Series S. Moving on, we got another acquisition to talk about, but this time from Take-Two Interactive. Yeah, Take-Two is joining in on all of the acquisition fun. I guess they got tired of watching all of these developers get gobbled up, so they decided to pick up Codemasters, and I think this is a perfect match. Take-Two does have their 2K Sports division with games like NBA, PGA, WWE, and so on and so forth. So now they've added one of the better racing developers to their catalog, and this could be a great addition to the 2K Sports lineup. And really, Codemasters is very talented. I mean, they just released Dirt 5, and that's been another good racing game from them, and then they have Grid, Onrush, and Formula 1. Formula 1 would fit perfectly within 2K Sports, so this does add a lot to 2K Sports. Now, I will be interested to see how it benefits Codemasters and if they do anything different in the future. As long as they get a good budget though, I think that they will be more than fine. Now with some of the quick stuff out of the way, let's move on to some of the bigger stuff. So the Xbox Series X did launch today, and I couldn't be more excited about that. I haven't actually gotten to play mine just yet, but some fans are not particularly happy right now. Yeah, unfortunately, Amazon started emailing customers last night about their pre-ordered Xbox Series X and that they may be waiting a bit longer before they actually get their console. So this is what they had to say. We expect to ship your console in the coming weeks as we receive more inventory in November and December. At this time, we anticipate that you will receive your Xbox Series X by 12/31 or before. We are making every effort to get it to you as soon as possible and apologize for any inconvenience. Yeah, that's not exactly what you want to hear the day that the Xbox Series X releases. I know people were very excited about getting their new Xbox, and it's getting delayed last minute on Amazon, and that leads to a lot of frustration. I will say this, however, I don't know of how widespread this situation actually is, and if you got an email like this, let me know in the comments below. Luckily though, it does sound like that they will be getting more inventory sometime in November, so hopefully most people get their Xbox sometime this month. I know they say it could be until December 31st, but I think that's mostly to protect themselves if things take a little bit longer than what they expect. I know that's unfortunate, but hopefully it doesn't take them too long here. Now, an Amazon customer service manager supervisor did clarify what's happening here, and he does encourage you to not cancel your pre-order. According to him, if you pre-ordered the PlayStation 5, you will get your PlayStation 5 on the day it releases or close to that date. So that's good news, but however, the Xbox will ship as it becomes available. They are expecting inventory to arrive between now and December, and he even mentions that Amazon could get everything worked out this week for all we know. That's no guarantee, of course, but you just don't know about these type of things. Now, you still have that option of finding an Xbox with a different retailer if you can, but it does sound like that you will get your Xbox Series soon with Amazon. But unfortunately, it just won't be today. I guess it's up to you on what you want to do from here, but I do hope everybody gets their new console as soon as possible. Moving on, let's talk about PlayStation. And well, this is actually kind of good news for the Xbox Series X. One game that PlayStation has really tried to advertise a lot as being one of their premier launch titles for the PlayStation 5 has been Godfall. It was the first PlayStation 5 game that they revealed, and since then they have shown some pretty lengthy gameplay trailers for this game. Well, we've known for a while that this was going to be a timed exclusive, but now we know for how long. It will be for just 6 months. They revealed a new launch trailer, and in fine print it goes on to say this: also available on PC, not available on consoles until at least May 12th of 2021. So there you have it. This is a 6-month timed exclusive. Now technically, it doesn't mean it will release on the Xbox Series X on that exact date, but rather it means that they will no longer be under contract to keep it off of other consoles. That's the thing though, I've said this several times, but I really don't like these timed exclusives, and I'm not sure why Sony needed to get this game as a timed exclusive in the first place. I mean, I get it, it has the potential of being a big game because Destiny is super popular, and this is very similar to that. But Sony already had a really good launch lineup with Demon's Souls, Sackboy, and Spider-Man. They also have Ratchet & Clank and Gran Turismo coming soon, so I'm not really sure why they needed to get this one as a timed exclusive. I guess it is what it is. Now, speaking of interesting decisions, one controversial decision heading into this generation has been the increase of game prices. We are starting to see some of these big AAA games increase their price to $70. Of course, fans are not thrilled about this decision, but apparently, Sony actually toyed around with the idea of making their first-party exclusives more than $70. Yeah, if that would have happened, I think fans would have went insane. I mean, people already aren't happy with the price increase to $70, but if it would have went up more than that, I think a lot of people would have flat out boycotted PlayStation. So thankfully, they decided not to do that, but this does kind of show you what happens behind the scenes. If some of these publishers could get away with it, they absolutely would increase the prices even more. Of course, we're talking in hypotheticals, but I do think this kind of shows you why competition is so important. Xbox really has been focusing on value, especially with Xbox Game Pass, and if Xbox wasn't doing this, or they weren't around, Sony might have actually tried to increase prices even more, because frankly, they could get away with something like that. But because Xbox is around, if they did increase prices even more, I'm sure that would worry a lot of gamers and they would just switch over to the Xbox. Again, this is why competition is so important. I see a lot of fans want one or the other platform to fail, but honestly, they make each other better, and that is a win for all customers. On to our last topic though, PlayStation might have figured out a way to bring PlayStation 3 games over to modern platforms. So several PlayStation 3 games have been showing up on the PlayStation 4 store for roughly £8. This includes both Resistance 3 and Killzone 2, and they do both have the PlayStation Now symbol next to them, which has created a lot of speculation. Could this just be for the PlayStation Now service, or are they selling each individual title separately? Well, that's the thing. PlayStation Now costs £9, so this is cheaper. That means that they might be selling PlayStation 3 games where you have to stream them, rather than play them through emulation. So you will have to use the PlayStation Now service technically, but you won't have to get a subscription. Instead, you can get games individually, and I actually think that's a very nice workaround because emulating the PlayStation 3 is always going to be difficult thanks to that cell processor. By doing this though, they could bring back some of the PlayStation 3 library as long as your internet is capable of streaming said game. Sure, it's not perfect, but I think it's a good solution. We are starting to see the rise of game streaming, and even Nintendo is doing it with the Switch. They just brought over Control, and yeah, I like what we're seeing here with Sony. I will ask you though, if they allow you to buy PlayStation 3 games through game streaming, would you buy them? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.